All right, drawing number 5 is adjustable sector. Okay, drawing number 5 is a funky one. First, we need to start like we started on housing and find the total width and the total height. So the total height is pretty easy because of the arc on the left-hand side. That's the highest and lowest point, and it's measured in radius. So what's the diameter? Radius is half of diameter, so total height is 2.5, 2.5. Total length is where it gets a little bit harder. First, I'm going to start out that biggest, I've got a Sharpie. The biggest length is 4 3/4, 4.75. Then, from the left side of that, we can measure out in the radius. So 4 3/4 plus 1 1/4. And over on this side, we got the center line goes to the outside. And this is measured in diameter. The diameter is 1 inch. So from this center line to the most right point is 0.5. So that's 6, half. Yep. 4 plus 1 is 5. That adds up to 1. That's 6. 6.5 inches. Which means from the center line, we need to go over half of that either way. So what's half of that? 3 1/4. All right. First, find the center of the drawing space. We'll start with this left circle. And if I know that half the width from the middle all the way to the outer edge is 3 1/4, measure back 1 1/4, means that if I go from the center point to the left 2 inches, that brings me to this center point. So that also shows us that this line is right on the middle. Okay. I'm going to start with that circle, and then I'm going to make the larger arc. The diameter of this circle is 1 1/2. What am I going to set my compass to? Well, if the diameter is 1 1/2, compass is set in radius. Means I'm going to set to 3/4 of an inch. It's a pretty small circle, so it can get tricky. Make sure it's really in there. And there it is, that's the start. Now, the radius for that larger arc is 1 1/4 inches. You'll see this arc runs from the 12 o'clock past the 9 o'clock down to the 6 o'clock position. So I'm not going to draw it on the right side. Maybe go a little bit farther just to have what I need. That's it. Now, before on armature support, we drew a little dash at the 12 and 6 o'clock position of those arcs to make sure that we could make tangent lines off of it. Here's another trick to do this. The tangent, the top most bit of this arc is going to be the last piece of line left when I go up. I'm going to grab just that top. I'm going to draw that line out. Probably longer than it needs to be, but that's fine. And now the 6 o'clock position is going to be the bottommost position of that arc. Alright, cool. One reason, then I'm going to take that center point, that line. That needs to be 1/2 inch tall. Point on that. That needs to be 3/4 inch. And now we're going to put a round on that corner and the top one in a little bit, but we can wait on that. That's going to be later on down the road. And last time we did that with a nickel because it was a 1 inch diameter. Today we're not going to use a nickel, we're going to use a smaller coin. Okay, I've got a lot done and I did it quickly. I've got the left side of my drawing pretty much done, besides this round and that round, which we'll get to. Next, I need to find the center point of this arc circle. It's dimensioned as a circle because it would be a circle if it weren't for this little arm. Well, I know that this line is 4 3/4 away from this center point, so I can find that easily. I'll do that. Line 0 up with that center point. 4 3/4. I'm going to make a little dot. And now with my 3H pencil, because I want this line to be light, this is just a guideline for me. And draw that line. And now I can see this line extends off and then go up 1/2 inch, and that will be my horizontal. So it's a 1/2 inch above that. Well, I'm going to measure up 1/2 inch over here. The lightest of dots. Bring my T-square up to that dot. Make a mark over there. That's my thing. Before I even draw that circle, I'm going to do a lot of erasing around it. So I'm going to put my point through so I know where it is, and then get rid of all those guidelines. I'm not going to need them. So that's it. What's the size of that circle? It's a 1 inch. What am I going to set my compass to? 1/2 inch. 1 inch diameter, 1/2 inch radius. This is a small circle. This is a 1 inch. We made a 1 inch diameter circle with our compasses on armature support, but I would suggest just on a spare piece of paper, practice this one a few times because it's small and it's tricky. I drew it all the way around just because I was in the flow of it, but that's alright. Now, this is the hardest part of this drawing. To here, to this arc, it's 1.5 inches radius for that arc. And the center line, center point, is right in line with this right here. So it's going to be somewhere on that line. So I'm going to draw that line to start. Very lightly. But I don't know where on that line is going to be that vertical. I know it's 1.5 inches away from here and here, but I can't just start guessing with my scale and figure it out. That'd be very difficult. We do know that this arc is tangent right at that 9 o'clock position to this circle. So this line takes a turn and now suddenly becomes that arc. So what I'm going to do, take my T-square, put it right through the center point of this circle, and make a mark at the 9 o'clock position. Then I'm going to set my compass to 1.5 inches, because that's the size of this arc. I'm going to put it right on that point and draw that much of an arc. Now that is all I need. I know that this intersection, this point, is now 1.5 inches away from here, which is all that I need. Now I'm flipping this around. Punch right through the paper. And that's my arc. Now the outermost arc, well, everything else is 1/2 inch all the way around, so this is also going to be 1/2 inch away, which means that there's a radius of 2. Same center point. And there we go. That's it. This is armature support. It just needs, mine especially, needs a ton of cleanup. So, I will get right to it. Now, I cleaned up most of this. The 2 points which I said we were going to talk about are this corner and this corner. On the drawing, it gives us the dimension of 1/4 inch radius, which means it's a 1/2 inch diameter. I would find my 1/2 inch diameter on my circle template and do that, but we don't all have circle templates. So, we're going to use a penny. Now a penny is actually too big for this. It's 3/4 of an inch instead of 3/4 of an inch across instead of 1/2 inch across, but that's going to be fine for this. Not the end of the world. So I'm going to line it up with those. I'm going to still have just enough room for the graphite, and trace in that corner. Now I can finish erasing. All right, I've got it down. I'm gonna go around and darken it up. Sweet. Time to title block it. The part name is adjustable sector. Adjustable sector is very hard to fit in here, so you can do ADJ sector. Five. And now all I have to do is go around and darken some of these lines up. That's draw number 5, adjustable sector.